Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, we're covering the disappearance of Oakley Carlson. 5-year-old girl has not been seen alive since February 2021. There are some suspects behind bars, but not necessarily anymore for her disappearance. Yes, her parents. Her biological parents. Oakley Carlson has not been seen since February 2021 after she was taken from foster care and returned to her birth parents. And now a community of advocates in the Washington area and her foster parents are wanting answers. There is now a $75,000 reward that has been raised in an effort to locate this 5-year-old little girl who was reported missing on December 6, 2021, but hasn't been physically seen alive since February 2021. You see, little Oakley was living in a wonderful home and neighborhood in the Elma, Washington area, living with Jamie Joe and Eric Hiles as a foster family to this little dark-haired, brown-eyed girl who grabbed everyone's attention when this thing hit the media. It's been almost 3 years since Oakley left the Hiles home and was reunited with her biological parents. And in many cases, that's what the system is designed to do. I did live under foster care when I was younger, basically from middle school till I graduated high school and went off to college. And the system is designed to put the kids in a safe environment, which they did in this particular case with the foster family, until the family can show you can have your child back. And somehow or another, this family, the biological parents of Oakley Carlson, was able to prove they were fit to take care of this child. Little Oakley first went to live with the Hiles in August 2017 when she was about 9 months old. And for the Hiles, little Oakley coming to live with them was a dream come true. They had been trying unsuccessfully to have a child on their own when one day a former student of Jamie Jo Hiles, who teaches in the local school system, reached out to Jamie and asked if she would be willing to foster care little Oakley. This couple did not hesitate, especially because they were under the impression they might, in the long run, adopt this beautiful little girl. So they were extremely excited about this. And in the state of Washington, Washington's Department of Children, Youth, and Families, they have a goal of limiting the time a child is in foster care and then working on finding a permanent home as quickly and as safely as possible. At least that's their goal. But in the case of Oakley Carlson, months turned into a year, which then turned into 2 years. And while under the care of the Hiles, Oakley grew from an easygoing infant into an energetic toddler. But in November 2019, nearly 26 months after Oakley had come to live with them, the Hiles received the news that Oakley would be reunited and go back to live with her biological parents. And them taking little Oakley away from them truly turned their world upside down. They fell in love with this little girl. They literally felt like this was their daughter. Right or wrong, whether you should get that attached to a child that's not biologically yours, I don't know. But they felt like this was going to be my child. This was going to be someone that was going to spend the rest of their lives with them. And then to come to find out, 26 months after coming to live with them, on the day after Thanksgiving, that reunification happened with the biological parent. And it rocked the Hiles world. They literally were devastated. And as Hiles said, it was literally like a death. Like they lost a loved one. It was that hard on them. And the last confirmed sighting of Oakley was in February of 2021. but she wasn't reported missing until months later in December of 2021 after a fire damaged the family's home, forcing them to temporarily relocate. After this fire, the Oakville Elementary School Principal, Jessica Swift, brought some supplies over to Oakley's parents' home in December of 2021, and that was because after this fire at the home, it destroyed a lot of their belongings. And so Principal Swift, she says that Jordan Bowers had let her know that there was a fire. So Principal Swift decides to go out and check on them and offer any support she can and drop off any supplies from the school right after this fire. And she says, I saw all the kids running around and playing and I didn't see Oakley. And I thought it was a little odd. I asked where she was and they told me that she was in her room in timeout. 2 weeks later, Principal Swift returns to the home and again did not see Oakley. Later, Oakley's 6-year-old sister had went to Swift's home for a play date with Swift's daughter. And that's when Swift had learned that Oakley had not been seen in quite some time. And she says, on a play date with my daughter and Oakley's sister, I asked questions about Oakley, and it came out over the course of those questions that Oakley wasn't living with them anymore. And she continues and says, I can't describe the feeling I had at that moment, sitting on that couch with that little girl when she said that. Swift says she immediately contacts the Grays Harbor Police Department and makes a missing person report. So the police, they go over to the home and they search the home. There is no sign of Oakley having ever been there. And both parents deny knowing what happened to Oakley, but yet never say anything. And so Hiles, the foster mom, she provides a number of emails that was sent to social services expressing concern over Oakley's placement back with her parents. And she told the Washington Department of Children, Youth, and Families they were imposing irrevocable damage to the little girl by rushing to return her to her custody parents. Now, if you're the family services, in your mind, you're probably thinking this lady fell in love with the girl. You know, she should be with her family. But there's a lot to this family. Number one, a lot of meth around this family. You look at their pictures, you can see there's drugs affiliated with this family. Maybe they were passing all the drug tests. I don't know. People do hopefully clean up. So it's hard for them to just actually believe that they were actually putting this child in danger, because I'm assuming that they went through a process to approve these parents to take them back. And so she was trying to tell the family services that returning them to the custody of Jordan Bowers and Andrew Carlson, who is now being accused of exposing their other children to methamphetamine. She tried to warn them. Again, now they're in trouble for exposing their children to methamphetamine. Now, Bowers and Carlson have been arrested on second-degree child abandonment charges. Hiles tried to warn family services. She said, I had a lot of bitterness towards it because it was hard for me to understand why they could not have just realized that Oakley was best off with this. Unfortunately, with foster care, the minute you start getting your act together, then you are okay to get your children back. That's what she's referring to when it comes to Andrew and Jordan. And Hines claimed that not only did the parents feed Oakley junk food, but they were also violent to each other and failed to report their house fire to police. And Hiles said that the upstairs caught fire and the parents couldn't find their phones to call 911. So instead, they fought the fire themselves for hours per their GoFundMe page, and then didn't report the fire for 2 weeks. And so Hines had reported that to the child welfare on November 18 of 2021. And she said, while I am not an investigator, I find this odd and very dangerous. Yes, you are right. Andrew Carlson, he did plead guilty to child endangerment involving Oakley's 6-year-old sister after he failed to provide her with her required prescription medication. Now, he could be out of jail by August, but he also has a chemical dependency hearing scheduled for September 12th. And upon his release, he cannot have any contact with children under the age of 18, except for his own children. And in December of 2021, police did arrest Bowers and Carlson and initially charged them with manslaughter in connection with Oakley's disappearance. But those charges were dropped because they did not have enough evidence, but they were both charged with neglect in connection with Oakley's sister. Investigators would interview Oakley's 6-year-old sister, who said her mother told her not to talk about Oakley. She eventually admitted she hadn't seen her sister in a long time. She began crying when a detective asked her if Oakley was hurt. Per a police report, her mother Jordan told her not to talk about Oakley and that she had gone out to be eaten by wolves. You hear a statement like that even from a 6-year-old child about your missing sister, and this is what your mother told you? That is chilling. And so when police question Jordan Bowers, her mother, about Oakley's disappearance, she became furious and refused to answer any questions. And the report reads that she became enraged, yelling, clenching her fists, and refused to answer any further questions about the welfare or well-being of her daughter. You know, and when they did their search in December of 2021, that search lasted several days and did turn up evidence, but not Oakley or her body. But her parents, Andrew Carlson, who is also a former Aberdeen police officer, and Jordan Bowers were briefly held in jail on suspicion of manslaughter. Now, again, those formal charges were never filed because the couple was later prosecuted for crimes related to their treatment of their other children. The parents were sentenced after pleading guilty to child endangerment with a controlled substance, again that methamphetamine whatever stuff, for exposing their children to that. And so the FBI are involved with this, and they're trying to do everything they can. But at this point, the assumption is that she is dead. And I wonder if it has anything to do with that fire. We need to get justice for Oakley. This little girl, 5 years old, has not been seen alive since February 2021. We need to get justice. Someone has answers, no doubt about this. Now, Hiles, the foster mom, has written to Governor Jay Inslee asking him to order a review into the state's handling of the Oakley case. Aside from Oakley's 6-year-old sister suggesting that she had been eaten by wolves as per her mom, the 9-year-old brother has explained that he did witness her get beat with a belt and that he has been worried about her starving. And so this is an ongoing investigation. And that's what we know on the missing person case of little Oakley Carlson. 5 years old, has not been seen alive since February 2021. My friends, if you are a person of prayer, please pray for this little girl. Please pray that we find some answers. The community, her foster parents, they deserve answers. They loved this little girl, obviously more than her actual biological parents. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have an amazing day. Peace.